What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Whodat Comics and my guest co-host, Mr. Boston Chris. What's
What's
going
up?
on, Chris?
Not much, just chilling. Got my
So,
shamrock shake. Little early,
shout out,
yeah.
got to shout out to Chad Jeffrey. Comic Con is in the house with that thumbs up, and Mr. Cali Comics saying, "Let's do this." So, yes, we are going to do this. This is not going to be like one of those, we're not gonna have any drama. We're not gonna talk about any drama. All that stuff. We're just gonna talk about comic stuff related, maybe movies, stuff that we're buying. It's a whole mixture of different things. We're gonna try to keep it to an hour, because y'all got stuff to do. We got stuff to do, so want to keep it fun. So today we got two things we're gonna talk about: is buying raw books, what our thoughts about it, how we do it, what we think, tips and stuff. If you have any questions or any thoughts, let us know. If you want to get your thoughts and tips or questions out there first, I would always recommend super chatting so we can see it faster if we get a lot of people in here. But second topic, just to let people know ahead of time, it will be Ant-Man discussion / spoilers. That's probably gonna take majority of the time. So just to be aware, if you don't want to stay for the second part, you leave after we say, like, here we're getting into Ant-Man. So just to let people know. So, Chris, you found out some information about it wasn't really raw books, but some slabs or issues was going on in the community.
Yeah, so I was actually just kind of on my phone. I've seen it a couple of different times, but I noticed it today. Um, on Facebook, there's a CLZ comic group, which if you have the CLZ app to catalog your comics, there's a group and they're pretty social, and they were just talking about something happening with the community where there's a lot of, I guess, counterfeit slabs going around, which is, I mean, I had seen it and I was like, oh, kind of just going on because I didn't know how widespread it became. And then I was on Instagram earlier and I had seen that Comics for Cheap actually was talking about it as well, saying that, like, like this is, and he posted, a story about it, just a bunch of different like pitches and things about it. And it's pretty crazy, how everything's happening. And it seems that basically people are, going ahead and they are printing out books on what I guess is like basically just regular computer paper, or something of that nature. And then they've gone ahead and just stapling it up. They're, putting it in the slab, throwing the grade label on there for CGC or whichever, the only ones I've seen is CGC. So I don't know if it's other ones. And they're selling it and selling it. And it's just like, we're talking about big books, Hulk 1s, Hulk 181s, a bunch of Fantastic Four
I think
books.
I saw a giant size X-Men one. Saw
Yeah,
one of
Giant
those.
Size X-Men. I mean, I mean, all these huge keys that just, somehow are being counterfeited and slabbed, which is insane. Like, I mean, I'm just thinking of it. I've never cracked a slab, so I don't know what it's like to, go ahead and take that and open it. And then if it's easy enough to just, throw it back together, just because I would figure something like that would be like, a little bit of an undertaking, but that's what's going on. Some people are doing that. And so, like I say, like if you look on different people at social media, it's I guess it's a pretty large problem. And it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like,
I've noticed it was spreading around on Facebook. And you said you saw it, I think, on Instagram. Oh, we saw it on Instagram or Facebook? Instagram.
I saw it
Yeah,
on both. I saw it in one
yeah,
group, and then Comics for Cheap put it up there as well.
yeah. So like I've seen it spreading. There's a deeper story with that whole situation. I'm not gonna go into it. If other people have that information, I'm just a third party hearing the other information about that whole situation. So if you want to ask, I mean, I guess this you could put your ear to the ground and you hear more information about that. But
Yeah.
it kind of goes into the segue, like Cali Comics says, you got to buyer beware, buyer beware. Basically, talking about graded books and raw books, more so raw books than graded books, in my opinion, because raw books people will sell off facsimiles, people will color touch books. If they're older books, people will do things to books to try to sell them or as
Hmm.
raw. And if you're not aware of that, and you just hurry up and looking at the price, you can be caught up in stuff. He said they're saying so about. Oh yes. So what I like to do when I buy raw books, I'll give everybody in a little. I have like a little umbrella, like I'll buy from people, and I give like everybody like a little chance. Uh, if I'm not satisfied with their grading for his raw books, I tend to not buy from those people again. And I'll tell people who in a lot of different group chats, I'll say, hey, I don't really buy from that person. Not saying that they're bad. It's just that I don't always agree with their grading, but I'll keep buying from the same people who I'm like I call them bad good graders, or they're like right on the money on grading, or you even have a shot of getting a bump. I'll always buy with those people, and I'll share it with friends of mine when I'm buying raw books. And then Chris is a testament to that because we bought from a guy before, which I would not share here. But when you get that information from other people from buying raw books, I would say you got to run with it. You gotta that keeps the I don't want to say customer. You get customers and you get the sellers. They mesh really good when you have a good relationship, and somebody has good books, and they're very honest with things. They send you detailed pictures, or when they're selling stuff on IG live sale or a YouTube live sale, they're very kind of thorough with saying stuff about certain
they're
books.
transparent with everything, which is good. And it builds that rapport and that trust between everything. And it's just like, it's really, I mean, it is what it is as far as, trying to figure it out. And I mean, it's kind of tough. I mean, because you think about it where, I mean, what Whodat's saying is that everybody, I guess, has people in places that they go. Some people don't. I mean, I'll be honest. I buy a lot of stuff that I've bought has come either from shops I've gone to or eBay, just because eBay is, I mean, eBay. I've heard it unofficially. It's the biggest comic shop in the world. I mean, you can find pretty much anything. But the thing is, it's really tough to try to figure out. I mean, there's a lot of trust that goes with eBay. And I'm not saying anything bad about it because I use it all the time. And the majority of my experiences is good. It's just it's just one of those things like what do you look for, how you look at it. And the thing that I say to a lot of people too when they're getting into this, you all right, I will get to that question.
I was going to wait till you finish, and I was going to highlight the question.
I think that a lot of it tends to be like, what are you looking for? What are you doing? So it's just kind of banging and figuring it out. And that's kind of how you go from there. Callie asked a really good question.
All right. So Callie asked a really good question. Have you ever been burned on a buy? Now, it's hard to see. I'll answer this one kind of like it's funny with my answer with this. In a recent time frame, in the last few years, I would say I haven't been burned because I feel like burn is like, you buy something, you stuck with it. I bought stuff and then I got it graded, and they were way off. Like the person I bought it from was way off, or something came back restored, or one thing came back green label. I could have been burned if I didn't buy it from a reputable seller, but I wasn't. I mean, the two instances I can think of off the top of my head, they both came from Elite Comics 11 sellers, which I did highlight earlier because they're having a big virtual convention. I didn't get burned because they gave me my money back. I shipped the book back to them. They actually gave me some money back for the grading and all that. So I didn't get burned. It could have been bad, but I bought from a reputable consignment page that dealt with reputable dealers, if that makes any sense. Now, talking about way in the past before I started buying from these people, yes. And it actually happened from a convention. Because at a convention, you can't check all the restoration for books. It's very lighted, so you can't really use a black light as good as possible. So I've actually got burned from a convention like 2 years ago, but luckily I was able to move that book and not lose any money. But that's where I actually got burned before. But every time it happened on IG, like I said, buy from reputable people and real real good experience, even though it happened. So you can tell them, how you. So this is
I
the
mean,
question, everybody.
yeah. So for me, the only time that it happened to me through eBay was with a raw book. It was I think Avengers. I think it's one. It's an Avengers book, and I want to say it's in the 100s. It's with Magneto on the cover, and what happened is that like I was going through it, and it was funny because this is years ago. I did an unboxing, and the video is still up there. So if you find it, you'll know exactly which one I'm talking about. So I'm going through it, and I open the book, and all of a sudden I get to the center, and the center just falls right. I was like, what? And at the time I was like, oh my god, you had the best reaction to that. I'm like, it wasn't a happy reaction because what I thought I was getting was a good complete book. Next thing I know, the centerfold's falling out. But you know, that is something that you kind of look at it, and then like I go back and I look at the price because I looked at the price and this is like, oh, like this book is probably like a $20 book. I only paid like $7 for it. I should so it's like nothing moved on it, and there was nothing to indicate that it was going to do that. But it was just like I figured it was just a book that nobody cared about. So I was like, all right, I'll take this. And the reason that I had done that was because a buddy of ours back in the day, Evan, used to say, yeah, like it's a cool thing you can do is just that like you can score really good deals if you just go on eBay and look at things that are just that are just going to end quickly, and then just give them a quick So it was like I looked it over, everything looked good, but it was just like, but then that book was ending quickly, and I'm like, oh, and I just snatched this right now, and it's just like, oh, so I'm gonna tell you right now, while that might be wallet friendly here and there, don't do that. Not because everyone's wrong, because you can get a lot of good books. It's just if you're giving yourself that short of a window, you really can't look it over. And you really can't look at all the pictures or really read the description, because sometimes people would say like, they just show the front cover and the back, or just a couple of pictures, and then they'll tell you in the description, yeah, this is messed up, that's messed up. Check out, this thing here, I can give you more. But if the thing's ending in a minute and a half, like you can't really scan it and know what's going on that quickly.
Yeah, quick shout out to Sands group in the house. What's up, Sands? Says he loved the new tie. Thank you, sir. Like me and Chris went back and forth trying to figure out something, and I thought that name was actually a lot. I like graphic content, so I didn't even say the announcement of the show, but that's the name of the show, graphic content. Captain Comics is in the house saying ahoy. You know how he does it. And who's this? Monk's Den. Appreciate you guys stopping through. Thank you guys so much. So right now, people who just came through, we're talking about buying books raw. If you have any questions about, like Callie put in there, we haven't got burned. Any questions about buying books raw? What else I wanted to touch about buying, like you said, you buy from certain people or you buy from LCSs. I went to my LCS today and I found these two books. I looked them over very well. They were priced very good. If this was a year ago, these would probably be triple the price. But my LCS, I've had very, very good luck with. And then they take very good time grading their stuff. I usually buy from confidence from them a lot, very much so. Also, I bought this from a guy who Chris might remember, but I was able to get this book. It's a lot of times this is labeled wrong. It says, I think it always comes out like the first Zatanna cover, but it's not. To me, it's the first good Zatanna cover. But but yeah, I did some recent buys. I don't think I showed in the haul, but the reason why I bought those raw, because I know who I was buying it from, and I knew where I was buying it from. The last book I showed, Zatanna, I bought that online, but I knew the person I bought it from. The other two books I got from my LCS, and I was able to see it in person, look at them really good, and get a good feel on it and eye on it. Shout out to Bleeker stopping through.
Yep.
Was it Brooklyn Born? And give Cali Comics a good highlight. He says, I got burned on a 9.8 on eBay. Dude sent me the guts, no slab, just a sealed sleeve with the back and CGC label in it. What? I sent the message. You got me. Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow. I gotta get, man. Hopefully this can make Callie feel better. all
Yeah,
I can
man,
say is
that's
I
vicious.
try to open as much stuff on video as possible. Or as soon as I receive something, I try to open it. This is my comment towards this statement. Because I don't want stuff sitting there. No offense to anybody who lets boxes sit there for video purposes or just let stuff sit there for no reason. Because we know people, me and Chris mostly know people who do that. They'll let stuff sit there and they be like open up stuff from like 3 months ago, and you're like, you don't know if he got burned or not until like it's too late.
Yeah.
I don't know what your thoughts about this thing. That's kind of messed up. What
Um, his comment after Someday Da Vinci was funny. He says he still has it, and it's basically hung up to remind him of asshole sellers. So he basically has it on his phone, and just kind of like as a warning to himself, like, yeah, there's some bad sellers out there.
He said, I got my 23rd list. Dang, you got a big list. Sent media mail, got a nice bin on it, not even opened it to see the cash returning.
Oh,
Wow. That's why you got to buy from us someday. Buy from people you know. Don't buy from them slackers on the fee base.
well, that is one thing I will say. How do you build up that list of people and everything? Like, how do you do that? And a lot of it is just, going through the community and just kind of getting to know, just by watching different shows and seeing, what's going on. Just because a lot of times, if you know somebody who's selling, or if somebody that you watch is like, oh, I bought this from this person, or I bought this from that. Just a lot of times when they do the unboxings and stuff like that, they'll show you the book I got. This is how it came. This is how it looks, and oh yeah, you can definitely trust this guy. Because that's one thing I will say. Like I've never, I have never really seen too much where people don't at least acknowledge who it was that they got a book from, if it's from within the community. A lot of people will say they got it from such and such, and then let them know that they're a trustworthy person, especially like if they've done plenty of business with them. So that's what I say. Use the community. The community is really, really good in that way, just because it's collectors selling to other collectors. eBay, it could be anybody. It could be just some dude that just goes around and just and no offense, to anybody, but it could be someone who just picks up just random stuff and just sells it. Like some people, like just for the example that Someday is saying, the person that he bought it from may not even be a comic collector. It might just be somebody who just buys random stuff or just has random stuff and just doesn't know how to send it. So that's another reason why I think getting to know different people, following different stuff, and just seeing different people, like use different avenues. There's lots of different avenues to go down. You know what I mean? There's Instagram, there's YouTube. It's all good just to kind of get in there and just see what's going on and just checking different people out.
Yeah, especially when you watch videos of people buying stuff, I try to make it a point to shout out people that I've always had great dealings with. I might not remember all the time, but I try to. So yeah, definitely learn from other people watching videos. See who they're buying from over and over. Like I'll tell a couple of names I buy from Elite Comics 11 almost all the time. I try to when I have the money, but I try to always buy from Frank's Comics on Elite. He sells great stuff. What else? Who else? He hadn't been on there in a while, but Universal, DJ Universal. I try to always buy something from him. I haven't seen him in a while, but that's another one. I can't think right now. Also Elite, but that's some of the people. Shout out to Punch. I don't know where his first comment went. He said, "Minor Keys himself is in the house." Sid says, "I try to buy your Minor Keys Punch." Yeah, Sid don't buy from me no more. He buys from Punch now. What's up, lady? Lady says, lady buys from me because I sell some great deals for her.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. So now Sid is somebody. Now Sid, I don't think has a channel or one that he does videos on or anything. But I'll tell you right now, he has a
good eBay page though.
If Sid was, if I'll tell you right now, if Sid is buying from you, that's an endorsement and a half, because Sid is a great buyer. He's an amazing buyer. He's always just looking for good stuff. So it's just like, he knows what quality is at. Like, if Sid did a channel, he could definitely go ahead and highlight all the best sellers that are out in the community because Sid
Yeah,
knows.
yeah. Shipping. He probably could do a good video about best sellers, best pricing, best shipping. What's up, Hyper? Hyper's in the chat. What's up, man? Don't forget to smash that thumbs up button, man. I appreciate it. Got 14 people in the chat, man. I do appreciate you guys stopping through.
And of course, we gotta shout out the Tone.
Oh man, I didn't even see him right. He slid through, man. Slid through. Look at him. What's up, Tone? Which I hopefully Tone or Jeffrey can grace us with a guest appearance when we do this again, maybe next. Because we're gonna try to do this every 2 weeks, as let people know. We try to do it every 2 weeks. It's not gonna be a weekly thing, and it's like I said, it's gonna be for an hour. Nothing crazy. He said, what happened to just the tip? What happened is it was graphic content. That's what happened to it. If you can see, graphic content. Jeffrey said he's in. That's what I'm talking about. Jeffrey is in. He said, title your next. So yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Another thing I want to really quickly before we go into Ant-Man and the Wasp. So if you guys don't want to see here Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'll say in about 5 to 7 minutes. We'll probably be talking about that. But we're gonna talk about spoilers and everything. But other thing I want to that kind of irks me when buying raw books, and I stay away from people buying those raw books, is when people price books at graded prices. I don't. That kind of irks me, and I don't really like that because if you're gonna price it at a graded price, once you get it graded, that's my opinion on that. So usually sellers or dealers that do that, I kind of stay away from. If anybody notices when I buy, so I really don't buy from people like that. And they do have some people on, other consignment pages that sell live that do that. I'm happy I found a couple of good ones that don't. They sell at raw prices and they still give you deals when you send offers. And I tend to buy more from people who actually, I like that banter going back and forth. Like if you send an offer and if they accept it, great. But if they come back with a counter offer, I like that. It kind of it shows like a little, I don't know how to say it is, but it's like having a conversation with people and you're going back and forth. I like that. And I tend to buy from those people more so than not. I don't know how you feel about somebody selling a book that say, "Oh man, this is a 9.8, so I'm gonna sell it at a 9.8 price."
Well, I mean, in general, it's not graded, it's not slabs. So I mean, until it's sitting there in one of these like this, and it tells you what it is, then okay, fine. But don't tell me like, "Oh, I'm gonna sell it," just because. And that's one thing I'll tell you. Like, whenever there's a spec book out there, you best believe that they're gonna sit there and be, "Oh, well, now that the price is going up, let me go ahead and get top dollars." It's like I understand that, but you can't sell raw books at graded prices. I mean, even if it is say, "Oh, like it's gonna be a 90 or it's gonna come this and that," but like wait until it comes back. Then, I mean, if you want to sell it like that, send it out, get it graded, have it come back, and then sell it for that price or whatever price is the going rate at that point in time. And one other thing I'll tell people, it's kind of different thing, but if you're looking at the different avenues of where to go and what to get and everything like that, I will tell you right now, please, this is my own opinion. Beware of anyone who's doing like a carnival-like game to go ahead and get you to buy books. Just because, just like anything else, if they're doing some type of weirdo game that seems like a conny game, you're gonna lose. There's only 1 or 2 winners out of the whole thing. Everybody else just dumps money, hoping and gambling. Don't gamble. Just it's just like don't waste your money like that. That's the only thing I can say. I mean, everybody can collect what they want. I'm just saying like there's different avenues that some people go, and some of them are really shady just because people are trying to cash in on. You could get this. I mean, it's there. It's one of these things. You have a chance. It's just like, go for a sure thing. Don't go for something that you might, if it sounds too good to be true, it damn sure usually is.
Yeah, that's why I highlighted Hyper's comment because that's how I feel a lot of times. And one thing I can speak, I know my LCS does pretty good pricing books. The only issue I know I have, and I know one of the workers tends to might watch my stuff, but only thing I wish they would do and a lot of LCSs have this problem. It's not just them. Is that when you
Mhm.
price something
Oh
6 months
no.
later, 6 months later, it might not be that same price. So,
Yes.
like, I understand you're pricing new stuff and putting it on the wall, but you have something that's up there, that's been up there, and it's not $50 anymore. It's more like $10. Like, everything needs to be readjusted for your raw books, and that's an
You know,
issue I've seen. So,
so
shout out to
I'll say
Liz.
the reverse. I will say the reverse of that, which is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut off the shout out. So
No. I'm just highlighting people that popped in. That was Liz. That's the
yeah.
only new person.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. But like the opposite, where it's just I'm in a shop. There's a bunch of long boxes. I'm digging. I'm finding things, and it's just like, oh, this book is whatever the price is. It's a good price. Of course, I'm gonna buy it. And then now I've been lucky that this doesn't really happen up here, but I've heard so many stories where you get a stack of books. You're coming up there like, all right, here's my stack, and then they sit there and they flip one over and like, oh, I don't know about this. Wait a minute, and then they sit there and they have to check it out on eBay, or they do all this different stuff. Look, to any LCS owner at the time that's doing this, that is lazy. And don't expect me to do your work for you because that's ridiculous. Like that's probably one of the worst things that I come across, which is like it's in the same vein of what Whodat's talking about, but it's just opposite. Whereas it's like they clearly don't go through the boxes and check things out, and then they go ahead and then but they can't wait for you to bring it up there because what happens next? They're gonna go ahead and they're gonna sit there and keep all those books there and then price them and put them on the wall. So you ineffectively you did it for them. It's almost like same thing as that like okay, do this work for yourself and then I'll figure out the price. I'll put it there. But it doesn't take much time to just go through boxes. That's what people should be doing if you own a shop. I mean, if you're trying to make money and it just kind of pull things out, figure out what it is, and then just go from there. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
you know
yeah. So, like Callie said it earlier, buyer beware. Yeah, this if you don't know a seller, try to get some information from the seller. Ask for anybody who's
mm,
bought from them. Um,
yes,
stuff like that. It's a lot of different things that you can do to help yourself when you're buying raw books. Um, Sometimes, like if it's a single seller, you can always ask them to show you the front and the back. I try to do that more so if I'm buying something online
mhm,
on IG. If it's somebody taking pictures, because they forget to take a picture of the back. So I say, can I see a picture of the back? And you see more stuff that they are talking about. Shaq,
yeah,
Biggie Shaq is in the house. What's up, Biggie Shaq? He says, I always put them back, Chris.
yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I've done that before.
Like now, I like leaving. I don't put them back. I like leaving them on the counter and making them put them back.
Hell no. You know why? Because no, because the Callie's point, they get pissed off because they can't find them again. I'll make sure you can't find it too. I'll put it in like weird spots. Whereas like this shouldn't even be. Why is like just for example of a bookie show? Why is Rogue's first appearance with Care Bears? Because that's where I put it, and that's where it's gonna stay until you come back and find it again. Like it's just it's just the way it is. Like you want to go ahead and do that stupid practice,
I put
and
them back.
that's
I
what you
know
get.
we seen you put them back, Biggie, live. You put them in some weird spots. They never can find.
Exactly. They'll
I
never see
see
that book
Biggie
again.
do it. So I want to transition. If anybody had any more questions about raw books or experiences, definitely put them in the chat. But
Oh, big lion cat.
big lion cats in the house, man. Smash that thumbs up before we get next to the next topic, which is going to be Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantum Mania, if that's what I think that's the name of that. I just call it Ant-Man
Yep.
and Wasp 3.
Yep.
So we're gonna kind of talk about that. If you guys haven't seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, I would say, come back, watch this part of the video later and see what our thoughts and stuff about the movie was. But if you don't mind getting spoiled, or if you already saw it, stay. Let us know what you guys thought. I don't know how to start off talking about this movie, but I'm going to start over my overall thoughts. Overall thoughts was definitely not as bad as some people were making it seem. That's my
Oh
overall
yeah.
thoughts. Not even close. And the reason why I say that, because I think people forget how bad some MCU movies were. Uh, so that's my overall thoughts on it. If I had to give it I don't know if you want to say a grade, stars. I don't know how to say it. I'll say a number out of 10. If I had to give it something out of 10, I'd probably give it 7.5. I give it 7.5. I don't think it's top tier. I don't think it's bottom tier at all. It's a little bit above the middle, and it's mainly because of a couple characters that I enjoyed. Highlight Hyper quickly says traded by parents. Let's see, look up.
Yeah. Like that Superman variant that you got, you know what I'm saying? Like that one there is just like, you know, if they're not even looking at it, or if they're not paying attention, it's just like you can kind of score sometimes. So, you know, just gotta do what you
Yeah.
can.
So like I said, overall gave it a 7.5. It had issues, had things I wish it didn't do as much of, but overall I enjoyed it. Will I watch it again? Yes. Was it as bad as some of the recent stuff that's come out? Not even close. I would say the top tier of stuff that's come out in the last like what year and a half, maybe 2 years, and probably Black Panther in this movie. So that's just my thoughts, my opinion. And like I always try to tell people, movies are subjective, TV shows are subjective. So whatever I thought, you might not have the same experience, but that doesn't mean my experience is wrong. That doesn't mean your experience is wrong. This is my subjective thoughts of what I went into it, because I've heard so much bad things about it, and actually I was pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed it. So, what is your overall thoughts on the movie before we get deeper into this?
I say this. I would give it like a solid 8. You know, that's just my thoughts on it. I think it was a good movie. I think it was great. You know, where Whodat says that that's subjective, this and that, yes, but you know, as far as I'm concerned, what I say go. No, I'm just joking. No, when it comes down to it, yeah, I mean, everybody can see something and see it differently. I mean, that's the way it all comes down. Just that, you know, what were you expecting to see versus what you saw. For some people, that is, you know, some people they saw exactly what they wanted to see and they love it. Some people didn't see it as much as what they wanted to see. Some people, and this is another thing too. It's just when you're looking at this type of movie, what it is, how it is, and what's going on, there's people that might be confused. I mean, this might be something someone's, I don't want to say necessarily jumping on point, but let's say they came into it later on. It's just like, yeah, you know, I'm going to go ahead and check this out. And it's like, what the hell did I just see? I don't understand any of this. So, you know, I liked it. I was excited for everything I saw. I think they built in a lot of good stuff, and it's good setup for where they're trying to go.
Yeah, it was definitely a good stepping point, I think, for the next few projects. Some people, I've heard some people talking about the CGI. The CGI was not as bad as people made jokes about it. It's not even close to being as bad as I was actually kind of very amazed by some of the CGI. So I mean, so yeah, I don't know what some of the hate came from. My thoughts have always been lately is I think people want a certain level of movie on every movie since we've gotten them in the past. And what I've noticed about individual movies, and you can go all the way back to Iron Man. Iron Man was very good, but all these individual movies were core to that individual hero. They didn't dwell on to like the big grandest things, or some stuff didn't dwell on the human aspect as much as like being on Earth, which I heard one complaint about that. Somebody told me it's like the only thing I complain is like I wish they would do more stuff with Earth, which I can understand that too. But they're touching on different aspects, and it's all going to lead back to Earth on these next movies after I want to say Captain Marvel, or the Marvels, I should say. Because you're gonna have, you know, Avengers Secret Wars, that's gonna be on Earth. You're gonna have, you know, what else? You got the Riri show, that's on Earth. You got the Secret Invasion, that's on Earth. So you got a lot of Earth-based stuff coming up.
Yeah.
And Captain America, that's Earth. So like we're getting a lot of Earth-based stuff probably in the next, not this year, but next year.
Yeah. And
the next year after that. So we're gonna be heavy on the Earth-based stuff. So.
Well, I think you know, I mean, I can kind of understand that if someone's saying that like they want to have something more Earth based initially, just because Black Panther had, you know, I mean, there was a pretty decent chunk of that movie spent, you know, underwater in the sea, so it's like, oh, you know, that's not quite, you know, the earthy type tone that you're thinking about, and then this being, you know, a different dimension that's kind of, you know, a different realm, I guess that makes sense too. But I think
to let lady know, I have to cut you off. Moon Girl is actually out. Moon Girl is actually out on Disney Plus. I just want to
Yeah.
let you know.
But I mean, overall, I mean, I don't know. I think that where sometimes that there's trouble for some people where when they watch it, they're just like, I just don't like this. Is and I've said this about a few different things. Is that I think people are really still stuck in that Infinity War Endgame top echelon. It's just like and yeah, I mean, when you look at the pinnacle of everything, of course, like everything else looks doesn't look as great next to it. But the thing that everybody forgets is what you said in the beginning. It was like just these were standalone movies, and they didn't really do too much to cross over until like the end credit scenes kind of
Yeah,
crossed over different
yeah.
things, and it's like, oh, okay, oh, this, oh, that, because that was the thing, and a lot of people weren't looking for any of that type of stuff at all in the
Mhm.
beginning. It took people being like, oh wow, like what's this thing? Oh, they're gonna be doing this now. Oh, they're hinting towards this. So it's almost like I would say it's kind of like if you live in a place where you've won a ton of championships in sports, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, the team's not so good this year. Oh well, oh they made it to deep in the playoffs, but they didn't win a championship. It's just like, okay, but they still did good. You know what I mean? You got to look at it like that, where in order to get back to that top echelon, you have to let stories build. There has to be, I mean, in the way that they're doing it, there's got to be stories that build it up. Even if you're going with standalone movies that have sequels, you still have to build towards where you want it to go.
Mhm. And in this movie, when you really think about it, this is really a standalone movie. And
Yeah.
end
Oh yeah.
credit scenes tie everything start tying stuff together. If people want to really think about it, um, was this the best Ant-Man movie? I would say it's probably second to the number one, first one.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's just how I felt about it. I like the thief aspect more of it than the first one. So that's probably how I felt about that one. I'm going to go a little deeper and start talking about some spoilers, people. So one thing I disliked heavily, I didn't mind them doing it a little bit, but when you see Modoc and you see the mask, great. When you see the giant head, which is funny a little bit, I said it. So I don't know who I said it to, but I said this actor must have something in his contract where he has to have so much face time as far as his face being on screen. Because I didn't. That's the part I didn't enjoy. I didn't enjoy seeing his face as much. But when he had the mask on, it was all. I like the mask. Uh,
Yeah.
and they wish they would have kept his mask on more so in the movie. But that's just that's just my thoughts on Modoc.
Yeah.
I wish you would have had this mask on more so.
Well, the I think part of what gained that criticism right away was when they did that side by side with that I think it was like that Shock Boy movie where you're seeing the George Lopez big face and like, oh, this is what they this is basically MODOK, and it's like, and people started making fun of that before the movie. I mean, way before the movie came out, and it's just like, oh man, that's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? But you think about it, it's just like that type of thing can lead to people kind of looking at it and being, oh, well, see, they're being lazy because look at this, somebody did this before and it looks the exact same. Or
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think yeah, with the mask on, he was way more menacing. When he had it
Yeah.
off, it just didn't really. It just looked kind of goofy. Just
Yeah, I got the idea of it when I first seen it, maybe the first two times with him with his mask off, but
yeah,
and maybe at the very end, like at the very end, what happened to him? Yeah, without
yeah,
the mask, but the rest of the time, he should have the mask on.
yeah.
That's just my opinion on that. Now,
Well, they
and
introduced him
and,
with the
and, and
mask.
I want to say this. I don't. It's not that we might not see the last of Modoc because
Probably not.
the idea of Modoc is a mechanical, basic killing machine. That's basically what he is.
Yeah,
So it could be anybody in that concept take over that Modoc, you know, position. What's up, Gorilla Todd? And shout out to Last Level. Last Level there. He's hanging out. I think they have their show. I think the show starts. I don't know if the show starts now or it's about to start. Um, but we're going to be ending this in about 19 minutes.
yeah.
Um, what else? only what I didn't like as much as Cassie. Uh, and the reason why I said didn't like as much Cassie, the part I didn't like about Cassie is like she got handed a lot of stuff very quickly.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, not I like the character, the young lady playing Cassie. I just didn't like her getting handed everything all of a sudden. It makes sense because Scott was dusted. That's that all that stuff. They kind of threw it all in there, but I think it would have been better if she would have got the suit in throughout the movie. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Or
Like she already had a suit and
yeah,
stuff.
she
Right?
already had a suit, but she didn't know how to use it. Didn't know how to do And then when
Yeah,
she and certain things with her turning small or getting big didn't make about a lot of sense because I was like, wait, it took him a lot of time to learn this, like basically the whole first
yeah,
movie.
yep,
And I know what they were trying to do because you're trying to hurry up and get a lot of stuff done in one movie, and they could have went it a little slower, in my opinion. Yeah, they could have went a little slower. They could have went towards the end where she got her suit and did a lot of her things.
yeah,
I didn't like they kind of rushed that aspect of it. But like I said, I do like the young lady playing his daughter, and she
yeah,
did a good job with that. It's just I think they rushed it, but not in
yep,
a bad way where I felt felt I just noticed it. So that
yeah.
was
I
just
mean,
my idea.
it feels similar in that way. And then one other thing I'd say about Modoc um, that kind of bugged me a little bit. I mean, I kind of understand how they did it, or why they did it this way, just because as you're watching the movie, it's just like how his character's going to progress through. But I would figure that Modoc, like from what I know of him in the comics and stuff like that, like he he pretty much relinquishes his past life. Like he's not worried about his past life. He's looking at it where it's
Uh-huh.
just like he's this thing. So I feel like there was a little bit too much of the other guy there, even though he's like, no,
Uh-huh.
I'm Darren. No, I'm Modoc. And it's like, well, but you're not though. You're still that same dude. Like everybody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it didn't take him a long time to be like, oh, but like he didn't have to sit there and be like, you look familiar, something like that. Like it's just like he was like, oh, like Hank and this one and that one. How are you? It's just like what? This is like like if you took him and made him into this thing, change his mind, like you know what I mean? Like wipe his mind, make him the actual killing machine. Like just because it makes me wonder, like um the guy itself, even in the other movie, he wasn't that sinister of a guy. So it's like, but now he's okay with just wiping out a bunch of people that he's never met before. Like he's got like no conscience at all, and then he's just like, "Hey, how's everything going?" It's just like, it's just, I don't know. It's like they
That's
didn't
why.
make him like
That's why
that.
it's like Kang took him and didn't erase his memory.
Yeah,
That was like that's why I said I think they could reuse Modoc, but
yeah,
I think if they do reuse him, like if we get Modoc again in like Kang Dynasty, that's gonna be a badass Modoc. He ain't gonna
yeah.
be Darren. He's not gonna be
No,
Darren from the movie. This is gonna be like really Modoc, and he probably won't even look like Darren. He probably won't even show his face. He probably
yeah,
just be a killing machine. That's how I think they're gonna do it because Kang is gonna need some extra people to fight with him.
yeah,
And so like it's gonna be very interesting if they bring Kang back. I mean, bring Kang, or bring Modoc back if he's going to be that real killing machine, which I think he will be. Not as, and I'm just going by speculation. That's not my expectation. This is just my speculation because
yeah,
the idea of Modoc, I think, could be used more because he could. That's one character that you can bring back to life, and it shouldn't be that hard to explain because the majority of them is mechanical. you know,
yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. It's almost like when they're like, oh, they killed Ultron. Like, no, you didn't. Like Ultron is,
it's
he's
part of
out
the
there.
internet.
He's just kind of chilling. I mean, for the movie, they're not gonna bring him back, fine. But it's like, but you can't necessarily kill Ultron. Like you killed that one robot, okay, fine. But he's got a million Ultron bots that'll build him back again. So
Yeah. So it's. Now, what else I want to think about? What's her name? The mom. I call her
oh,
the
Janet,
mom.
and
Janet.
yeah,
So she didn't tell them anything about the quantum realm, like
nope,
nothing. Like I could understand leaving aspects, like leaving Kang out. You don't want them to know about Kang because you don't want nobody to go looking for Kang. All right, I understand that. But she didn't tell them anything about the quantum realm. Anything. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's a little far fetched. Like it was like, come on, she could at least it could at least said, oh, you told us the quantum realm had this, but you didn't know about this guy, but it could have did something like that. But for her not to say anything about the quantum realm, it's like it's a little bit that was a little bit far fetched in my opinion. It kind of went a little far with that one.
So this is where we'll kind of diverge on that point, because I actually kind of liked how, like, I don't like that she didn't say anything, but I do kind of like how she just kind of kept it to herself. The problem, because the thing is, like, had she said this stuff, had she said, I mean, there would have been no movie, because it would make no, don't talk to anybody on that quantum realm because there's a guy down there that's bad news. Don't, you know what I mean? But I do like how, how she tended to, basically how her fear of him built him up. You know what I mean? And it's like the reason that it resonates with me, the reason why I liked it that way is because her reaction and the way that she was is the exact same way that Loki was at the end of his series, when he goes back and he finds Mobius again. He's like, and he's like freaked out, like he's scared of him. He knows straight out, like he's like there is a man. He's like, and there's thousands of them, and they're all bent on war. Like they're all gonna do terrible things. Like because Loki was scared. So it's just like that to me was kind of cool because it's consistent with characters who have met Kang, that like no one else has met him, but the people that have met him, even if it's for a short period of time. So for her it was a long period, but for him it was pretty much short. And they're both scared to death of this guy because they know he's bad news.
Yeah, yeah, and it more so amplifies that. I kind of figured this part out that he who remains is actually Kang,
Yeah,
and he changed his name to He Who Remains because he's the last one of his own variants, and he took out all the other variants because he knew they were bad. I think they actually talk about that in the Loki series,
yeah,
and they kind of mentioned this in the Ant-Man thing. The only issue I think like Janet had, and I guess she kind of didn't realize that what he was doing is like, yeah, he was killing timelines and stuff like that, but he was killing bad timelines. He wasn't killing off timelines that were okay. And that's basically what He Who Remains did. They had a bunch of timelines, but he didn't knock them all off because he kept the ones that were bad. He got rid of because that's the ones that his variants took over. Like you could have, I'm just gonna use these for example. Like you could have the Ramatut variant, the Immortus variant, the Iron Lad variant. Like not saying those are all the bad ones, but he could have took
yeah,
all those out. And that was, I think Ant Man Scott realizes that wait, did I do the right thing, or did I do the right thing? You guys
yeah,
said they got things worse than him, and when he was saying that, he didn't really pay attention to it. But after you think about it, it's like, wait, why would he say that? Like, it's not like he has no reason to lie. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So why would he say that? And they kind of played that off, and I like that part too. What's up, Matt?
yeah.
What's going on?
I like that. I think that I mean, just Kang in general. Like Kang, I mean, Jonathan Majors did a great job in there. From the minute he came in, he was I mean, just kind of just was the show, and it was just like he was cool, and how they kind of went about it, bringing him in, showing basically when Janet had to kind of open up about, like, okay, this is what this is what's going on. And but then when I found out what he was all about, I backed off from him and everything. And then everybody who kind of everybody who was like that lived down there and everything, that knew about him, the way that they referred to him, it reminded me kind of like, if you watch Jaws, it's like, the shark is the thing that's eating the people, but they don't show the shark right away. They wait and wait and wait, and then about halfway through the movie, there's the shock. And then that Kang was a shock, basically. Like they
Mhm.
waited they built him up, and then when he came on the screen, he just absolutely was great, like the
Oh
whole way
yeah,
through.
yeah. My telltale sign of an actor or actress playing a role is that if they're on screen and you can't take your eyes off of them when they're on screen or when they're talking or whatever they're doing, that means they're doing like an amazing job. It's kind of like what I thought about Queen Ramonda on Black Panther. It's like
Yeah.
anytime like she was on screen, anytime Jonathan Major was on screen, I was listening and trying to hear, like, pay attention to everything they were saying and what they're doing. And other thing I want to touch about Jonathan Majors is that 2023 is Jonathan Majors' year. All I know is if when you see this movie and you see him in this role, it makes you, even if you don't want to see Creed 3, it makes you want to see Creed 3.
Oh, I'm telling you right now, like from what I know and from what I've seen, that's not whatever the box's name is. That's another Kang. It's another Kang. I'm telling you that right now. Kang is a box on that timeline, just kind of chilling out, and he's gonna
Yes. Beat up people and kill people in that timeline in boxing ring. That's all I can say. It's like his he just looks like all I can say is I'm excited about that movie even more so after watching Ant-Man and the Wasp. What I was going to say is like they quickly in maybe a couple more minutes. I just want to say they quickly talked about what's her name? Wasp was I can't even think of her name. But how she took over the company and they kind of quickly glanced over it. She basically did the same thing that Pepper Potts did for Tony Stark.
Yeah,
but it was quickly glanced over, and how they talked about it. It wasn't really gone into deep. She just got the company back, blah blah, for her dad, and that was it. And it was like, to me, go a little deeper because not everybody knows. They could explain it a little bit better. I mean, I know because we watch the other movies, but not everybody watches these movies. Let's be honest. I tell people, not everybody watches these movies, and you gotta explain a little bit more in depth. Not saying they had to go to big storyline, but they could have spent like 2 extra minutes talking about it. And saying what was going on, how she got the company back, and I would have did that a little bit better. But besides that, I knew it, but like my wife didn't know it when she saw it. So that's the kind of the little thing that I know that kind of touched on and could have touched on a little bit better.
That's my wife's deal too.
Yeah. So it's like for the average person who watches movies, I could see the gripes. But overall, I'm going to say this movie was enjoyable. I would definitely recommend going to see it. Is it going to win an Oscar? No. But can you unplug and watch a movie and enjoy something? Yes. Or if you're a 100% comic person, and it has to go down the comic book mantle, and nothing else can go wrong, then don't watch it because you're going to be upset. As I try to tell people, these movies are not made for you; they're made for everybody else with characters we love.
Yeah.
So that's my thought. So, and which I'm okay with that. I understand you want to make it a certain way and made it the right way, but they're trying to make it for the billions, not the hundreds.
Exactly. And that's really one of the tough things that, like, I think a lot of people have a hard time dealing with. That is that they didn't, it's not panel for panel, shot for shot, like the actual comic. It's like, if you own the comics and you like the story, you can always go back and read the story the way you wanted to see it. But then in terms of everything, give these people credit for what they're doing. The biggest movies in Hollywood right now are hero movies. These are the movies that they're dumping the most money into. So be happy, because we could always go back to the late 80s and shit, and the stuff that we used to get and they used to pass off as, this is a hero movie. Oh, this is a piece of garbage. Just in general, anything can go back to being what it was. You want to go back to 1996 where everything was Sleepless in Seattle and all the rest of that type of stuff? You could. I mean, and eventually, when this does kind of fade out and burn away and everything like that, what is going to be to replace it? You don't know. They can go back to that type of stuff. And it's not to say that that's all terrible, but it's just one of those deals where when I'm thinking about, how far those movies have come and how, good everything looks, it's pretty cool. And so just enjoy it while it lasts. If you need the source material to go back and be like, they did this differently, but you know what? You can go back and read it and you can check it out. And, but in general, I think that, we, as much as it comes down to, loving what we see, we're spoiled, and that's just that's the best way to say it. Like, we're spoiled not because of the end game and everything, but we're just spoiled because the technology has caught up to be able to make things that you couldn't do in the past. Like you go back and watch, even though the very first Superman overall is a very good movie, it's a decent movie and everything, but like you know for a fact he's on a string going like this, and it's a screen behind him just flying around. It's just like you know what I mean. To have those effects, now, or to have those effects back then, and then look at it now, it's just like, I mean, if they could remake a really good Superman movie, it would be ridiculous. So it's just like, be happy that like they can do practically anything they want as far as visually, anything that you've seen in a comic they can produce on screen for you. So that's the only thing I get up. That's the only thing I will look at and say, like, just enjoy it while it lasts, because you never know when it's
You
gonna.
know when it's gonna end. When it's gonna end. So again, my overall score for the movie was 7.5. Chris said it was an 8.
Yep.
So we're about what and what. Like, honestly, a couple things would have changed. I would have been at an 8 as well. There's nothing major things. And to answer Callie's question, yes, this is a new series. Like I said, we're gonna try to do it every 2 weeks. So we're not gonna do it next week. It'll be the week after. We'll try to pick 2 topics, go for about an hour. And if we go a little bit over, that's not fine. But we're trying to stick at an hour because they got other shows and we want everybody to watch other things. So the new series is called Graphic Content Cali. So definitely check. That's definitely gonna be something new. Next time we do the show, I think we're gonna have Jeffrey Comic Con join us, and we're gonna talk about some other stuff. We might talk about graded comics next time because we talk about raw books. Talk about graded comics next time. Maybe that'll be something good to touch on.
Or as things are going, I mean, I would look at it where it's just, it could be a lot of different stuff. Like I'll tell you now, one thing that I would like to talk about, maybe not next time, but somewhere in the road, is just getting the top books, or just getting the grails that you want, because that's another whole big topic that I think a lot of people either struggle with, or just kind of like everyone wants to know what do you do to kind of make that happen for yourself. So I think that's kind of a cool one as well.
We definitely gonna have a list of stuff. We might be both of those things, but like I said, we're gonna have a couple of topics. Talk about one for 30 minutes. Talk about the other for 30 minutes, roughly. And that's the new thing, man. Like I said, we're gonna probably have a guest next time. Like I said, Jeffrey said he's gonna join us. Tone, I think, is gonna try to join us one time when he's available. All about work and stuff. So I want to thank Puff, Bleeker, Shaq, Callie. I'm just gonna go up a little bit. K-Pop for stopping through. Thank you, K-Pop. Just what she was cooking. Lady Fantastic. Talked about Matt, and I want to highlight a couple of people before we go. Gorilla Tide, thank you. If I could find them, but go check out Last Level Comics and Sands Group and Promiscuous Time Traveler. They might be live right now, so definitely check them out. So once you leave here, go to them. Please leave some comments. Let us know what you guys thought of the show so far. Give us a thumbs up. What I got going on, I might do a haul video. I got to do the giveaway. I got the giveaway I'm going to do probably Friday for last month. So be on the lookout for that. So giveaway be doing Friday, and I'll do a haul video. Probably do a pre-recorded haul video. So that's what I got going on. After this, what you got going on, Chris? Anything?
For right now, I'm waiting on 2 of my top books to come in. So that's something that I'm excited about. And then preparing to go to the King Con 4 down in New Jersey. That's going to be I think March 25th, so about a month away. So definitely looking forward to doing both of those. Getting that stuff going. And then other than that, picking up different stuff.
The Slammies. Yes, the Slammies. Slammies are this Friday. I totally forgot about. Thank you, Shaq. Slammies are this Friday. So make sure you guys, if you're watching this within, go to Tony Sanders' channel on Friday. We have a special show. It's an award show. So it's no competing, just the Slammies. So you got to be there to vote, because you guys who vote, just like you vote for the champions, you're going to vote for the winners of the nominees for the Slammies. So So definitely check that out because they got a lot of good nominees, a lot of good first timers. So that's
Yeah, it's
it,
gonna be a
man.
fun show.
Yeah, that's it, man. It's gonna be a fun show Friday, so definitely check it out. Again, thank you very much for checking us out on graphic content. And we'll try to add some more videos and some memes and stuff like that later on. It's gonna be fun, man. Like I said, it's a fun show, not a scripted show. So you guys have a good one and keep on collecting. Let's go.